My friend Spoon. In Vilcabamba, in a small hostel in the valleys of southern Ecuador, I met Spoon, a crowd of hippies, international but mainly American swaggers around the place. Their voices are loud, and so are their tie-dyes. They preach ecological values, grow organic broccoli, zip around in 4x4s, open vegan restaurants, host yoga classes, and offer astrological readings. They play guitars and tom-toms and do a great deal of healing, and this necessitates selling mountains of mystical bric-a-brac. Spirituality always requires a mountain of trinkets, plaster Buddhas, woven dream catchers, diverse crystals, mandalas made of lentils, and equipment for the preparation and consumption of marijuana. Sometimes they have children. These children are blonde, unkempt, and utterly selfish. If I give the impression that I found these people less than agreeable, you'd be right. One or two might be interesting, pleasant indeed, three or four okay, and five or six tolerable. But there's something about a homogeneous crowd, especially when they have much more money than they are accustomed to, and when they are among people who have much less, and whose culture they do not share, that gives an awkward feeling. You can sense arrogance as they command shop workers loudly in foreign voices, as if volume should compensate for the fact that those workers don't speak English, and certainly don't intend to, having over the years developed a sturdy hostility to the invasion and cover for the speaker's lack of even basic Spanish. I should add that I don't think this arrogance is a specifically hippie or American thing, though the fact that they are hippies does lend a definite irony to it all, and the extroversion notable in the American character does make their attitudes more obvious. No, neither of these groups are especially guilty. Arrogance would probably be an issue with the appearance of any large moneyed group in a foreign place, be they English rugby supporters in Paris, British holidaymakers in Greek resorts, or opera enthusiasts visiting Aldborough Festival. It does often seem that multiplied, the worst common qualities of any group become dominant and seldom their most attractive qualities, though I can't explain why this might be. And this is not the place to. No, this piece is dedicated to Spoon, my friend Spoon. The kitchen was one of the two social spaces in the little hostel. The other social area was the courtyard, just outside the kitchen, where plastic tables and a broken bamboo sofa had been commandeered by marijuana smokers. They were not too loud, but they talked nonsense. I went into the kitchen, more hippies, a big pot. They were making something with vegetables and beans. Four children, more guitar. I wish I had a river. I managed to find a little space on the small wooden table and set about preparing my omelette. I squeezed between a huge hippie with a make love t-shirt and got the omelette going. I found a kind of inner peace stirring the egg. Then, as if by the very magic of my own meditation, silence. Gone were the bean stew and the melancholy music and the unruly children. I finished the omelette, then washed the plate, knife, and fork. Next to the sink on the draining board was a low plastic tray with four compartments. Spoon was resting between a wooden spatula and four metal forks, and I was just about to deposit my washed cutlery on top of him when I caught his glance. "Whoops," I said. So I put my fork and knife in the adjacent compartment. "Thank you," came a voice from Spoon. Must be exhausting having forks and knives dumped on you all the time. Tell me about it, said Spoon, not to mention them. I laughed. They're okay. I mean, Spoon laughed too. I think it was at that very instant that we bonded. At that moment, Spoon saw something in me as if he had X-ray eyes and, with a glance precise, unflinching, cut right through me and my prevarications. He knew I was trying to be reasonable and fair when I really didn't feel reasonable and fair about the hippies and their bean stew and Joni Mitchell and their make love t-shirts and friendship bands and ill-disciplined offspring. And Spoon just knew somewhere that I was the kind of person who would feel ashamed of admitting that and would play the role of the reasonable one and pretend to be all okay. Both Spoon and I had felt alone a second before, then suddenly didn't. I'm not certain how I feel about admitting this. I mean, I like to see myself as a man guided by reason, not readily one to be swayed by impulse or prejudice. But the truth is as simple as this. I saw Spoon and I liked him. Affection surged through me, and I think he liked me back. I liked his unpretentious manner. I like how he exuded calm, his modesty. I've read that we are drawn to those whom we unconsciously recognize as missing family members, as if in the experience of growing up, even in the most extended and settled of families, a child senses a missing part, something lacking within the genetic spread of several generations. But this missing part must be recognizable and acceptable to all family members, should it appear a cultural fit. And certainly, in the case of Spoon, I can see him quite happily as part of my family, perhaps sharing a meal and contributing to conversations with observations and anecdotes which would surely be received with affection or sympathetic laughter. I picked Spoon up and retired to my room with a glass and 2 cans of beer. I sipped and listened to Bach and replied to messengers on my laptop and glanced occasionally at Spoon. Spoon's facial features are faint. That faintness adds to the sense of his reserve. Yes, he is a listener, not a talker, and in a garrulous world, that's surely something to be admired. And it was only after some hours together, in which he seemed happy to keep me company while I was engaged online, that the mood shifted and I could ask Spoon some questions about himself.